Hey everyone, welcome to the TM Fantasy Football Podcast. This is going to be a 6 days a week podcast every week during the football season. Today's topics are biggest winner and loser, cause for concern, one and done, a weekend of rookies, and a Monday Night Football preview. So let's get right into the first podcast of the season. We're going to start with the biggest winner and the biggest loser of the week. Biggest winner is going to be Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper was this week's highest score in fantasy, not even position based. He scored more than quarterbacks. He scored a 38.9. He scored 38.9 points this week. He probably won most owners who owned him. He probably won them the week this week. So, if a player is the difference maker from you going 0-1 and 1-0, he's got to be the biggest winner. Biggest loser is close, but I picked Saquon Barkley because he's just a player that's so hard to bench, and he put up a dud of 3.7 points, and he didn't help his owners at all. He's this week's biggest loser, but Brandon Ayuk was definitely a close second because some people did play him in the flex, and he had 0 targets, 0 points, just put out a dud of a game. So let's get right into cause for concern. This is basically just going to be people who had a bad week, and is it going to be repeated? Is this something that's going to be, a new normal or something like that? So let's get right into it. We're going to start with Aaron Rodgers. He had a lowly 1.32 points this week, and last year's MVP just can't be putting up those kind of numbers. The Saints defense was impressive, but is this a cause for concern? Maybe a little bit. Honestly, it seemed like Green Bay just wasn't prepared and caught off guard, but Rodgers' weaker offensive line and lack of a running game let him down big time, and he didn't look like he was comfortable. He didn't look like he was fully comfortable. He looked kind of, he just didn't look like the MVP Rodgers we saw last season, and this is a normally explosive offense, so that's why I don't say it's a full cause for concern, because this offense is going to eventually put up points. It's just a matter of time, but definitely pretty worrying, and sucks if you played him and you potentially lost your matchup because your quarterback got you 1 point. Next up, we got Saquon Barkley. Again, we talked about him being the biggest loser, but 3.7 points in week 1. Even on a pitch count, it's hard to bench a guy like Saquon Barkley because he's so boom or bust. And, he's a guy that people pick so high, some in the first round, some in the second round. It's hard to bench a guy that important. And he, didn't have a game. Is this a cause for concern? I think a little bit, because the Giants' offensive line looks so mediocre to below average. They look so bad, and this could affect Saquon Barkley in a big way, but could this mean bad running game, more catches, so more influence in PPR? I don't know, but definitely a little bit worrying in terms of such a good running back and such a promising running back doing so poorly. Now Zeke is the next one. He's another NFC East running back who disappointed in week 1. However, is this a cause for concern? I think it's less of a cause for concern than Saquon. Zeke played a strong run defense in the Buccaneers and didn't have all-pro guard Zach Martin for the first game against such a good defense is going to mess you up a little bit. And they also just weren't running the ball. It was all Dak. It was the Dak show, for a lack of better words. And I don't think he's going to be getting 11 carries like that every week. I think he's going to get more than that, and he's going to get better carries, as in the carries that he was putting up was 3 yards a carry. It was rough. But I think with his easy schedule and all that, he should be fine for the rest of the season. The only concern would be Pollard eating into his touches, because Pollard did have over 50% of his touches. He had 13, I believe, and Zeke had 13. Pollard had 7, so maybe a little bit of cause for concern there, but I think it's fine. Next up, Najee Harris. Now, rookies exploded this week, but he was not one of them. In week 1, he scored 5.9 fantasy points, and this is a guy that was getting drafted in the second and third round in drafts. Pretty disappointing. I think Najee Harris, did go up against a strong Bills defense, but I think he'll pick up next week against the Raiders. But it is a little bit of a cause for concern because he had such a bad first game. Rookies, they have good first seasons, but a first game is an important one. It's a confidence booster. And although the Steelers did get an upset win, it's a little bit of a cause for concern for Najee Harris. Next up, we got Aaron Jones. Along with most Packers players who put up a disappointing week this week, he put up only 4.2 points. He couldn't get much going, honestly, and he finished with just 5 carries. He's not going to get 5 carries another game this season, so that's why I don't think it's that much of a cause for concern, because, again, he's not going to get 5 carries in a game. again. Like he's always going to get more than that. Just the Packers offense just wasn't clicking. Nothing was going right. So I don't think it's that big of a cause for concern. But Aaron Jones has always been that up and down guy where he's like big games like 30 plus points and then under 10 points. So I guess that's what you live with if you picked Aaron Jones. Next up, we got Mike Evans. He's another player who didn't quite perform in week 1, and he was almost non-existent in that Thursday night game. I hardly saw him. He got a catch in the first quarter and then 2 in the fourth, I believe. And he was just basically not there. He finished with 5.4 points when he was projected 15. Now, is this a cause for concern? A little bit, in my opinion, because this was what the problem that everybody's been saying. The Buccaneers receivers are just splitting all these catches, and they can't just all get these good fantasy points and these good games. It's not going to happen. Not everybody's going to get a touchdown. Not everybody's going to get double-digit fantasy points. So it is a little bit of a cause for concern. But Mike Evans, he's a big guy in the end zone. I think he'll score touchdowns and help you out later in the season. Now let's get down to our next section, one and done. One and done is just basically someone who performed really well, and we're just going to question, hey, are they a one and done? Is this the only time they're going to do this season, or will they continue performing? So first up, we're going with none other than Jameis Winston, the other side of the end, the other team against the Packers. The Packers put up a dud of a game, and the Saints went off 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. If I said there was a quarterback with 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in this game, you'd say, oh, it's Aaron Rodgers, and Jameis Winston's the one that put up 0 touchdowns, 2 picks. So it's definitely very surprising to see Jameis Winston doing this. And then, it's the Drew Brees era is over, and they started off the new era very strong, with a bang. A statement win against the Packers helps with confidence, and Jameis Winston has always had confidence. And the question is, can he keep up this performance? It's kind of hard for me to believe that he's going to keep up this level of performance. He's still a pickup. You still have to pick him up. He's a good backup quarterback. If you have a shaky quarterback, maybe like Aaron Rodgers, who knows? Maybe you're considering benching him next week. But it's hard for me to believe that he's going to put up this kind of production every week because of their thin receiving core. Kamara is basically a receiver, so okay, you got me there. But Michael Thomas is out for another 6 weeks. They don't have much depth at that receiving core. I mean, some guys, that, not saying they're no names, but not top name guys. We're putting up decent numbers this week, so definitely going to look out for that. But I think Jameis Winston is a pickup, and he always was. When he was in Tampa Bay, he was a good pickup. He just threw a lot of picks, but he throws a lot of touchdowns and he throws a lot of yards. So I would say he's worth a pickup, and I don't think he's going to keep up this level of performance, but he might even be a start play some of these weeks. Next up, we got Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is an absolute monster pass-catching running back. So for PPR leagues, he's a must pick up if he is available in your league, because I'm pretty sure he's over 70%. Over 70% of leagues have him picked up, but he's a must look at for your flex. I mean, this guy got 8 catches on 9 targets, and he had 9 carries with a touchdown, but 25 fantasy points is nothing to ignore. I mean, he's a legitimate flex option from now on. I mean, we just wanted to see the workload between him and I'm drawing a blank. The other running back on the Lions, a very good running back. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. I'm so sorry, but Jamal Williams and him were gonna split the workload, and we were like, I don't know, is this a cause for concern? But no, I honestly think he's a good flex play. He's just so much better of a pass catcher than the other Lions running backs, and I think he's just going to be valuable in PPR. He's definitely a flex option for sure the whole season. Now we go right into Corey Davis. New York Jets are going to be bottom feeders this whole season. We all know this. They just don't have the team to be a top-level team. But Corey Davis did show some promise with Zach Wilson scoring 2 touchdowns. Zach Wilson threw 2 touchdowns to him, and he had 26.7 fantasy points. That is nothing to, joke around about. Most people probably benched him this week. I have him, and I considered playing him in my flex. Started Juju over him. That was a mistake. But, he's just an explosive kind of guy, and I think he can keep it up, and he's definitely going to be a flex look. You're definitely going to have to look at him when you talk about flex options. He's definitely worth it. He's honestly pretty good player, great receiver last season. He put up some good numbers in Tennessee, so yeah, definitely look at him. Next up, we got Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel had a monster week against the Lions. Now, the Lions don't have a great defense, but he did put up 189 yards and 9 catches and a touchdown. So, 31.9 fantasy points ranks him third amongst all wide receivers, and he's only behind Tyreek Hill and Amari Cooper, two guys you expect him to be behind. So, he's super athletic, and he did benefit from Brandon Ayuk getting 0 targets. But this is a guy that's, again, a flex option. I think he's going to be a flex option the whole year. And I had him last year, and, injuries did hurt him. So we'll see if he could stay healthy. But honestly, Deebo is just a great receiver. And definitely look his way in terms of flexes. San Francisco, honestly, has just a great offense. They run it well. And it is catered a little bit to his skill set because he's so athletic. And they like getting the ball in their hands quickly, running with him. So he's a gadget player. He's going to be getting so much touches. So many touches, sorry. So yeah, definitely look at him for a flex spot. Amari Cooper. Now we've talked about Amari Cooper a couple times. 38.9 points in week 1. He was a game week 1 winner for you. But can he keep it up? I think he can keep it up, honestly. I think he can not be a one and done. I think there's some concerns about his up and down performances, right? But the Dak and Amari Cooper connection looks to be as healthy as ever. Like this connection in the first game back from Dak's injury, he just trusts him so much. And honestly, I would definitely, he's a must start for the rest of the season basically because of how much his potential is, because Dak is going to keep looking his way. Next we got Gronk. Gronk was a big surprise in week 1. He scored 29 points for the tight end position. And he's a guy that most people probably didn't start, let's be honest here. He is kind of touchdown dependent, so I don't think he's going to keep it up. I think he's more of a one-and-done player. I think this will be his highest scoring week of the season. But he will score touchdowns this season. But it's when will he? And if he can keep up fantasy production without touchdowns, which I don't know if he can. That's going to be really hard for me to believe. I know. I'm doubting him. But I don't really believe that he's going to be this kind of guy that's going to drop 10-plus fantasy points weekly. I think it's going to be like weeks where he scores 4 or 5 points, and then weeks where he scores 10, 15 points, So, risk it when you want it, I guess. If you're thin at tight end, look at him. But I have Travis Kelce, so I have no worries about Rob Gronkowski. Next up, we got a brand new segment. We got the Weekend of Rookies segment. This weekend, we saw some absolute crazy performances from rookies. They were blazing up the whole league. And some rookie receivers like Devonta Smith, Jamar Chase, and Waddle absolutely lit up their respective games with all scoring a touchdown. And they all put up respectable yards, with Jamar Chase being the only one to put up over 100 yards. Now, are any of these guys going to be the Justin Jefferson of this year? If I had to pick one, I'd say Devonta Smith. He's going to get consistent targets, and he just looked great in that first game. He scored that touchdown, and everybody was like so hype. They're like, oh, this guy's the next guy, Jamar Chase just having chemistry with Joe Burrow is going to be awesome. He had 105 yards and a touchdown on 5 catches in week 1. Did have the big touchdown to help his yard numbers a little bit, but definitely a great performance. All 3 of them went off, and I would look their way. Rookie quarterbacks like Trey Lance and Justin Fields both showed what could be coming in the future. They're probably going to get game time later on this season, and both of them were involved somehow in a touchdown. Fields ran one in, and Trey Lance threw the touchdown. So both of these guys, maybe you start looking their way to pick them up a little bit earlier than you anticipated, because maybe they get in earlier than anticipated. Who knows? Then we go on to Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. They both scored more than 18 fantasy points, with the first 2 picks in this year's drafts having 3 and 2 touchdowns respectively. That's just, a big week from both of them. I think Trevor Lawrence did go late in drafts as a backup quarterback, but Zach Wilson maybe got to look his way. He did have a little bit of that explosive aspect, but his schedule was a little bit hard for me to say, oh, he's a must pick up. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence, if he's available in your league, I would pick him up. He's going to get his touchdowns. He's going to, play well. But that Jaguars team is just so bad. But that's why I think he is a good pickup, because they're going to have to go shootouts and score these touchdowns, and Trevor Lawrence is going to try to provide those. Then we go right into the next guy, Elijah Mitchell. This guy is hardly owned in some leagues. Like he was a late round, Hail Mary pick, hardly started, and he played amazing for the 49ers this week, and he's a must pick up. I mean, if you got first in your waiver order, you're thanking, the Lord if you have him available in your league, because he's a must pick up. I mean, he looked electric. The 49ers know how to make running backs look good, but he looked great, and I think he is a must pick up this week. So, yeah, definitely try to get that. And now let's get into the Monday Night Football preview. Of course, tonight we got the Ravens and the Raiders, and here are three big things you have to watch out for. Running back usage is the number one thing for both teams. But we're going to start off with the Ravens. The biggest news of the offseason, not of the offseason, but of the last couple weeks, is how they lost all three of their top running backs. Dobbins, Edwards, and Hill all went down with season-ending injuries. So not even like little nicks, season-ending injuries. And now the Ravens just look really thin at running back, and we don't know if it's going to be a committee or not. And that's the big question, and that's what's really important about this game. If you're going to watch, just watch out for that. Tyson Williams is probably going to get a lot of carries this week, but will he get it next week? Latavius Murray, let's see how he looks, and let's see how Le'Veon Bell, let's see how their workloads look. I think this is a big question and very important for fantasy, because we want to know if it's a committee or not. Because if it's a committee, then I wouldn't recommend picking up any of these running backs if it's just a big committee, because it's just going to be, borderline flex play, and, then you're just disappointed, you know what I'm saying? I had Gus Edwards. It was a big, I'm just sad that he got hurt, as a player. Like, I like him as a player. Like, he's a cool guy. But for fantasy, it kind of, hurt my flex options a little bit. But, yeah, I would rank Latavius Murray and Tyson Williams as the two guys I got to look at for picking up. I think a lot of people are picking them in the league. So, if you got to pick them up, you got to pick them up now. But on the other team, we're looking at the Raiders. They got Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake, and they could share some carries. So, is Kenyon Drake going to hurt Josh Jacobs' fantasy value? I think he is. And the big question again is it going to be a committee? I mean, if it's a committee, then I'm scared for all Josh Jacobs owners. I stayed away from Josh Jacobs. Maybe picked up, if you picked up Kenyon Drake in later rounds, as a RB 4 and 5 on your bench, as a guy you need to play maybe 1 week when people are injured, But Kenyon Drake could have some real value if Josh Jacobs does get injured, And then we're going to look at number 2, Lamar Jackson running game. Yes, this is, more running, but it's very important. I mean, it's similar to what I was just talking about, but it's branched off a little bit. I just want to know if Lamar Jackson, we all know he's a great runner, but is he going to get more design runs because of their lack of running backs? And then that could hurt running back value like Tyson Williams and Latavius Murray. It could really hurt their value. It can make them almost unplayable if he's getting like 10 extra, 5 extra, designed run plays for him, so that could be a big problem, And then we got to look at defensive play for both teams. Now, although basically no one's going to have the Raiders defense in fantasy, it is important to see if the Raiders defense, improved at all, because then we know if they're must plays, like someone like next week Najee Harris. If the running game looks rampant on this team tonight, we could see Najee Harris be a must play, in a top 10 play potentially, in a bounce back game. So, and that's good for confidence, of course. But we also got to know the Ravens defense. How is it going to perform without Marcus Peters? He tore his ACL in practice. The big news this week, the bang losing Gus Edwards and Marcus Peters back-to-back plays. It was heartbreaking if you're a Ravens fan. And the question is how is it going to affect your defense? Because the Ravens defense is very strong, and a lot of people did pick up the Ravens defense for fantasy. So is this going to affect their defense? Are they not going to be playable defense anymore? Are they going to be giving up more big plays? And are they going to be getting less interceptions? Because Marcus Peters is an interception magnet ever since he joined. So that is a big cause for concern. But that is basically the episode, guys. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If you made it this far, comment down below. I'll thank you so much. I'll heart your comment and everything, put you at the top. And yeah, just comment down below. Today's comment is going to be, which one of these players did you have? Did you have a big winner or a big loser? Someone like Amari Cooper or like Aaron Rodgers? Did it hurt you and stuff? So just comment that down below, and thank you guys for checking out the podcast. This is going to be a daily thing, Monday through Saturday. Sundays are my day off. I get to watch all the games. But, we're going to be doing this every day, and I can give you a little bit of, since you made it this far, a little bit of a sneak peek into tomorrow's episode. We're going to be talking about my top 10 teams, the biggest movers in the power rankings. And then we're going to talk about waiver wire. That's the big thing. Everybody wants to know about the waiver wire, who to pick up. And we're going to be going in depth on that. So make sure you guys comment down below, subscribe, and be ready for tomorrow's episode. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.